This is Chris,
This is Nick.
and you're listening to The Midnight Tapes.
Alright guys, welcome back to this episode of the Midnight Tapes. Today, we're going to be straying across from the paranormal and taking it to a little bit of a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, so today we're going to be discussing the Reptilian Conspiracy theory. Before we start off, I want to know if you've heard about this before or if this was the first time you've ever heard about it, like when we discovered the topic.
Oh no, yeah, this is definitely one that has always been on my mind. Whenever it comes to conspiracies, Reptilian's the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, same here. I honestly heard about this conspiracy when I was still in middle school. So what was that, like almost 8 years ago, something like that. I seen it on the History Channel and Animal Planet. So this is definitely not the first time I've heard of the Reptilian Conspiracy. But go ahead and lay a couple of the ground facts for us that we should know about the Reptilian Conspiracy, please.
Sure. So, pretty much these things are either not only called reptilians, but they're also considered reptilian humanoids, and they're like said to be from the Alpha Draconis star system.
Okay.
And
so that's outside of our galaxy, right?
I think it might be actually in our galaxy. It's a little bit further away from Earth, I believe, from what I read, but it might be outside from our galaxy.
Okay, yeah, just so the people are familiar with that.
And actually now they're apparently hiding in underground bases. Like there's actually in 1933 someone named Warren Shufield. He was like inspecting for oil, gold, things like that.
Yes.
And he's actually discovered this like underground city that was connected, and it was by many tunnels and rooms that are big enough to house numerous people, despite claims for it just being like for storage.
Yeah, and to backtrack just a little bit on their origin, the initial master race, supposedly of these full-blood reptilians, have been around since Babylonian times, which is, around 2300 BC. And the original species, before they were called reptilians, or draconians as some people also call them, they were called the Anunnakis. And it is said that their ultimate goal for being on planet Earth is to enslave the human race and, pretty much control every aspect of our lives.
Sure.
We've read, I think we both agree they're like 6 to 8 feet tall from what we've seen on the...
Yeah, it usually varies around that height, that they're definitely taller than the average human.
Yeah, generally where you would encounter one is in an abduction, or I don't know if you've seen the videos online of people transforming, like news anchors, celebrities, like their eyes transforming, their skin having scales on camera. Many of the abductions that the reptilians do involve forcible acts, such as sexual acts of violence, which leads researchers on the subject to believe that there's hybrids out there, so half reptile, half human hybrids, and the half human hybrids are mind controlled or controlled by the full bloods. So the full bloods control all the hybrids out there.
I get it. So they make them like feel inferior to them because they're half, while the full bloods are they're superiors, and they kind of control them. They're like their puppets.
Exactly. And a very dark rumor said that reptilians are farming humans to feed on them, and they drink their blood in cannibalistic ritual sacrifice. So what they do is they scare them to get them in like a place of like fear and anxiety, because only then do you release a chemical in your blood that is I guess essential for the reptiles.
Yeah.
And they that's what they need.
They go crazy off
it. Yeah, they go crazy, yeah. Some reports include implanting screen memories, thus creating false scenarios to hide the abductions, and they want to stay as secret as they can, obviously. And others go as far as to say these beings can access the dreamscape or the astral plane and attack people in that realm.
This is very crazy. I mean, these things are very powerful, and like if it's just not just some sort of conspiracy, like this is really something that is actually very freaky, because like if that's the case, then they're in a way essential to our human life right now, because they're the ones that are running it. Yeah, and from what I've heard is that that they do like to be spread with their bloodline along political figures, so they can powerful people, so that their goal is to like enslave the human race and to run it, pretty much, right? They want to be our supreme
so beings. You'll see them interrelating like with people in political positions, banks, major organizations such as the CIA, the World Health Organization, people that are really up there, because obviously they don't want the weakest links, which unfortunately usually tends to be us. And although they're seen as like a physical creature, some claim that these beings exist outside our dimension, which goes into the shape-shifting and manipulation side of it, because we only see what they want us to see, kind of. We only accept this reality, but they know another one. Which is kind of plays into, if you guys haven't heard of, his name's David Icke. He's a really Icke, he really brought this to light. And in fact, so this has kind of been around for generations, but this has, he really brought it to light. And that's one of the things he said, is that they're, outside of our dimension. So their shapeshifting is really just a manipulation on our human consciousness. Yes. And going off of David Icke, if you guys don't know who David Icke is, he's kind of the name that you think of when you hear about a reptilian conspiracy. He kind of he talks about it a lot. He has a lot of seminars. He's written tons of successful books on the subject matter. He said that this all started when he was, I think, at a bookstore. Yeah, he was at a bookstore with his son, I believe, or it might have been like a gas station type store area. Yeah, he was out in public, and he said he heard a voice to lead him to can you finish that part? What did he say? I believe he said that when he was walking in, he had heard a voice that said to go to the books like on the far left or something like that. And he was confused as to what it was, but he followed it and it led him to where he is today, which a lot of people would say that he's crazy. And whether the guy's crazy or not, I think he has some pretty interesting, like, what he believes is facts, and it seems all genuine. Yeah, and we've seen some videos and documentaries with him in it, interviewing him, and we seen he went on a show, a talk show, and he claimed that he was the son of God, and the audience laughed at him, and he said, "It's funny how you guys laugh at me now, because if 2,000 years ago a man claimed to be Jesus, and somebody like that, you guys would have laughed at him as well. So it's funny that not much has changed." I believe in that sense that it really nothing changes. We don't believe anything that outrageous until it's fact. Sure. And I think he was saying that again to prove a point. I don't know if he actually believes he's that, but kind of straying away from that, he also kind of said something similar to the fact that reptilians have this kind of telepathic ability and energy that's drawn from our moon, and that they're able to create like intricate holographs that we have interpreted and accepted as our own reality, kind of again playing into manipulation, which is what they're, from what I read, I don't know if you have, but that's kind of their forte. That's their hallmark, that they're manipulative beings, that they manipulate you, and they, not only you physically, but you mentally, they manipulate. Yeah, and then they're able to take these wavelengths and lights of waves of light and manipulate them, so we see only what we can't go above our capacity of observing and perception. Exactly. So we'll only see what they show, pretty much. And sometimes it is believed that they mess up. Then there's glitches in their little system that they use, so which is when we see like sightings of them, or we see the true eyes, we see their scales coming through. It's crazy. And I mean, these things that they're, again, like, kind of back to what their goal is. It's like, from what a lot of people have speculated, is that these reptilians seem to be these warlike beings that are bent on conquest, control, and that their agenda is pretty much, again, to take over the earth and our resources, if they already kind of haven't done that, and become our superiors, kind of back to that. And that even, people have claimed that their biggest goal is a new world order, which, not to delve too deep into that, but that's something that's, another conspiracy theory that's very big, and that they even play a part in, as well as like the Illuminati. Yeah, exactly. And David Icke also believes that the reptilians are also satanic and pedophile. Yeah, pedophile type of group. And the reason he says that, I believe, is because they do like sacrificial like rituals, where they sacrifice human bodies and stuff like that. So I don't think he intentionally means like it's some sort of demonic thing, but they have, I guess, that's like what humans will, it'll like, oh, it's this close to being like, oh, they're like this, yes, exactly. It's the closest thing he could relate it to, and I believe that watching David Icke talk about it, he seems really genuine, and I wouldn't think that. I honestly don't know where to stand on the reptile conspiracy, but I can say that it does freak me out, because it goes to the fact that there's a higher hand in everything that we do daily. And even take it all away, if it's not reptiles, I still do believe that there's a higher hand, no matter what.
Like with the all-seeing eye, that's kind of taken literally in our society.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So even if it's not reptiles, even if it's not the Illuminati, it's still something. And I can't deny that, you know?
Yeah.
I believe that there's higher powers that control our everyday, life and the outcomes of our life and the outcomes of this world and the outcomes of natural disasters. I don't think it's limited to our individual choices, you know? And, that's why I don't exactly rule out this reptilian theory, because it does give some substance to the matter that we're talking about, the higher ups.
Yeah, and I mean, one of my biggest things about this reptilian thing is a lot of people are like, okay, so there are these beings that come from this star system that can manipulate your mind and this and that. Like, come on, that's hard to believe. But if you think about it, if it wasn't hard to believe, how would we be any different? Exactly. How would they be any... Yeah. How would we be any less than they are? We would be at the same mindset. We could probably do the same things. The thing is a lot of people don't realize is you have to step away from this false perception of reality that could be false. Yeah. Because if there's something so crazy as reptilian shapeshifters, I'm pretty sure that we wouldn't be able to understand exactly, especially if they're other extra dimensional beings. It's like trying to explain our dimension to somebody on a 2-dimensional plane. We could see everything, while they're only limited to what
and they're not gonna believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, what are you talking about 3 dimensions? I only know 2.
Exactly.
And I also think people want to be even if there was, how would they be able to control all our minds? And it's even if they're not, take them away again. On a daily, our minds are influenced by advertisements. If you're talking about something you later see an Instagram ad on your phone suggesting that same thing. Exactly. So to be so naive as to be no one cares about what I say, no one cares about what I'm saying, what I'm thinking. Really, is that why you're getting blasted with ads on what you're talking about every day?
Does it ever happen to you when you'll be talking to not even typing anything, just we'll be talking like this?
Yes.
You'll go on Google on your phone, and as you're typing something, it's one of the first search related searches that could come up. Yeah. That's one of the craziest things for me is I can be talking about I need a new mattress or something, and then I'll be looking something up, and that'll be for recommended.
Yeah, exactly. So to think that nobody's listening in, really, then how is this happening? How are we so drawn to these fast food places? Not to get too off topic, but advertising is the first step in this, and in believing that we are controlled by a higher power. Because it's just advertising. But if we can be manipulated on that level to make a choice on what to buy, how can it be possible to say, well, I can't be manipulated another way?
Exactly.
Yes, we can. If it's this easy at the door, once you're in, you have access to tap into our minds,
Now, I have a question for you really quick.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced in your honest, lifetime, not through, a video or anything, but, have you ever actually experienced seeing a reptilian being?
I haven't experienced seeing a reptilian being. The closest thing I could tell you would be videos and documentaries that I've seen on TV. Excuse me. And I will say that the documentaries I saw on TV were a little too flashy, a little too trying to just scare you.
Over dramatic.
Not a lot of attention to detail. Just kind of they came from outer space and they're here to take over.
Yeah.
That's every alien plotline right there. But there are some YouTube videos that you see occasionally. That you just can't deny. I seen one of an inmate. She was a woman. She was a murderer, a serial killer. She murdered I forget how many men and women. She even has a movie too. But her name is Eileen Wuornos.
Okay.
And in her interview where they're interviewing her in jail, and she's like, "Yeah, I killed them. I don't care." It's they're gonna kill all of you guys anyways. That's what they're doing to me. The government. She was mentioning higher powers, and her teeth were showing up on the video sometimes as sharp. And her eyes would get narrow, like a cat eye, like a lizard's eye.
So they would split the pupils.
And I saw that when I was younger, and I deleted I deleted the app because I didn't want to see that. I had my first iPod Touch. I was traumatized. Damn. So it's really cool to now later as I'm older. I'm 22 now, to dive back into this subject with all the knowledge that we do have that we've been accumulating. But back to your question, have I ever seen a reptilian in my life? A reptilian humanoid? No. I would like to bounce the question back to you. Have you ever seen one?
No, I have not. But I actually do know somebody who has seen something that, now talking about this could have possibly been somebody that they're shapeshifting.
Okay.
Which is my brother. He was driving back from it was like a canyon kind of area, and as he was driving back, it's like a two-way street, right? So like it's one road. It's not like you know how usually roads have like, all right, for the left side and the right side for one way, left side and right side for the other way.
Yes.
It's just one way for both ways. And as he was driving, he said he saw a truck coming towards his way, and that inside of that truck, he saw this type of figure that didn't look human at all. He said he related it to an alien, but the way that I remember as he's saying it, it could have been easily a shapeshifter that, you know, maybe was either was being careless, maybe their shapeshifting was messing up, but he saw somebody that he related to an alien that it just didn't look human at all. It was wearing a hoodie. Mm-hmm. It's like eyes were kind of almost like sunken in. Okay. And it just didn't look human. He said like he's seen plenty of, you know, drug addicts and things like that where they kind of look off, but this was something different. And he said he felt really weird after, like he wanted to just go back and follow it to see what it was. Mm-hmm. But he honestly even felt like if he did, his life would be on the line, of course, you know, because you don't know what these things are. It could have just been an alien, but this is something that thinking about it, doesn't make sense to me. Why an alien would be driving a truck? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Trying to fit in with the modern day society. Mm-hmm. It could have been a reptilian. That's the closest encounter I've even had to one, which was my brother. Yeah. Driving and encountering himself. Okay. But other than that, no. Again, like you said, only in documentaries, only in things like that, videos.
Yeah, and like I just to wrap this up, you know, like our last thoughts, I really want to tell, like, you know, like get the message across that like a lot of us want to think like our lives are so insignificant to the higher ups and the government. Why do I care if they're watching me through my thing? Why do I care if they hear me? But it's like, why do you care? But everything that surrounded you is geared to make you do an action for somebody else's profit. Exactly. So if you want to just take it on that scale and say, oh, well, it would never be for anything bad. Yes, it could. You know, like reptiles or not, like there's still something there behind the veil controlling the strings, you know? I think that. And I think that if you don't think that, well, good for you, because sometimes ignorance is bliss. Exactly. But I'm not, I couldn't think like that. Because every day there's wars, there's natural disasters, there's unnatural disasters that are happening. And, you know, the world seems to always be in a state of crisis. Mm-hmm. But when do we step back and say, why is it like this? Not just say, oh, it's like this and it's going to be like this. You know, like what's going on behind the scenes? Obviously, I don't know what the government knows. You don't know what the government knows. Why? Because that's classified information. And that classified information we'll probably never know in our lifetime. Exactly. But it's that classified information that might hold the answer as to why we're the consumers. Mm-hmm. But at what point do we say, what are we consuming?
Exactly. You know? And that's why I always live by the motto of like question everything.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like, and it doesn't mean necessarily question everything, you know, be the biggest conspiracy theorist out there and question why your phone does this and does that, you know.
Broaden your you know, your mind.
In all aspects. Just be very welcoming of like ideas and like knowledge, you know. Don't just shut out one idea because you're so stuck on one.
Exactly. But I think I mean, I think at this point we've kind of said all we need to say. Now the choice is up to you on what you believe or not. And I'd actually like to hear if you guys have any stories or any more to add on this, what you believe. Yeah. Go ahead and write it down in the comments and we'll get to it, you know.
Yeah. But I think that's been it for this week's episode of Midnight Tapes. Thank you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.